Sheth, who's had actually a really good amount of momentum going behind this match. If he wins this, he not only gains ground against one of the division leaders, but then he breaks a huge like 4-way tie for 4th place.
Yeah. I think this is what he needs. The top 3 is obviously really, really tightly packed, and also very far away from 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. So I think right now at this point, Sheth should be fighting for that 4th place. But if he does this, he'll actually be knocking down MorroW, who is who's sitting at 2nd, 3rd place. So we'll see if he's able to do it and pull it off. Let's go into predictions really quick. Actually, let's do predictions after we introduce the players.
All right, starting in top left, we have Sheth from Team Liquid. I'm sorry, I'm reading the chat as well. Yeah, the Tal'Darim altar, you are able to spawn in all positions. There's no forced cross spawns. And the person letting us know all that is MorroW, Stefan Anderson in the top right from Team Mouse Sports CC. MorroW doing fantastic against Idra in his TVZ at NASL Sunday Showdown. If you're a subscriber, you can check out the VODs on our Twitch channel. But it was a really good series. MorroW showing why people shouldn't forget that he used to be a great Terran player and still is.
I'm sorry, I was reading the chat. I am so sorry.
Exactly, yeah. But,
it's like right there, man. How can you not? I think everybody is reading the chat.
Everyone's not even listening to what I say.
I'm sorry, man.
They're like, yeah. Ferdinand, shut up. I want to read this. It's really funny. Sheth, not necessarily the best in ZVT. He's always been one of those players that is comfortable with unconventional methods. Sheth's ZVZ is fantastic. For a while, he was saying he was good against Protoss as well. But his Zerg vs Terran is not the worst either. It's at 51, 52%. He has been losing a couple games here and there, but it's because at the Battlegrounds, he dropped games to Thorzen and Taja. That's nothing to scoff at. He's beaten Polt a couple weeks ago, and even the week there, he's been beating QXC as well. So his ZVT is on point. We'll see if he's able to go against MorroW, who everyone knows has been playing fantastic against Zerg recently.
He 4-0'd Idra, although I think Idra is in a little slump right now, so I don't know how accurate of a measurement that will be, but still shows pretty good results. Overall, I think MorroW has a really good fundamental standing in TVZ. It really feels like he just is so comfortable with the matchup. He normally goes for that late game, I want to say like, you know, macro Terran into some sort of heavy push off of 3 base, and then plays low economy thereafter. So stays on around 2 bases, relies on the heavy orbital command center type builds to actually keep him alive at that later game stage. But he does small bases, like 2 or maybe 3, so that he doesn't have to protect so many places. He's efficient that way. And then from there, he can really start to position his units in order to get the obviously best positions, or the economical or whatever advantage, any advantage.
And MorroW's just been playing, just like you said, he's been playing with a man on a mission. He says that NASL is his biggest priority. Last week he played Targa in a fantastic TVZ, which, you know, it was just I think it was one of the best matches of the season, honestly. You can see MorroW being pressured by these Zerglings. Sheth's trying to force his way in, and I think the SCV was picked off. And look at that, MorroW trapping the Zerglings, making it more difficult. But a cheeky response also makes his command center a little bit more safe, so in case he can reach around and really take out some of the Zerglings as well. Really clever.
These Zerglings will be annoying. It actually forces the opponent not to lift off the 2 buildings, so he can't make reactor Hellions, which will allow Sheth to get a little bit more creep spread than normal. There's his 3rd queen that pops out immediately. I would say these queens should be popping down creep. But, you know, a lot of times the advantage that comes with getting the super fast command center is the fact that you can start placing those mules at your natural, so your main doesn't mine out really, really early. That's not the case this time around. Obviously, I think MorroW actually loses out slightly from this opening. Even though he did go command center first, I would say Sheth got the more economical opening.
Yeah, Sheth's been able to drone very handily. You can even see him gassing at a pretty interesting time, getting a 2nd gas immediately at 6.5 minutes, and a Roach Warren, so he can put on additional pressure, knowing that MorroW's answer to Roaches is nil. He has nothing really to deal with. He's got Hellions and Marines on the way, And you see MorroW going for a third command center. Now, this kind of roach opening from Sheth can punish that if he chooses to go aggressive, but if he's using it just reactively for defenses, MorroW will catch up quickly in workers with triple orbital.
Oh, I think this will be pressure. This is Liquid Sheth's patented roach pressure. He does this, and most of the time, I've seen him probably 80% of the time just drone behind this. And what he's trying to do is incur a reaction like it is a roach zergling baneling all in. But of course, we know it's not. There's no baneling nest out in the field.
Yeah.
So there it is. The drones come up, and he will be just macroing directly after this. Once he, I think, destroys the destructible debris, I think that should be a pretty high priority target.
Yeah, this is important because MorroW, he's playing greedy himself. Oh, gets one Hellion caught, which is actually very significant because it just means that MorroW's control of the map is much less. And MorroW now has to join up just another one of his Hellions. Try to avoid the roaches, but he sees what's coming. MorroW's gonna have to fall back. Now the big thing is that there's nothing stopping the roaches from just walking past the bunker and then doing some damage in the main. MorroW trying to see if he can run and try to cover his base before he can let the roaches in. Sheth just content with falling back at this point, picking out supply depots, while the Hellions are gonna go in for a flank.
Very nice job. And the Hellions really can't do anything at this point. Yes, they're gonna go in for the flank, but they get taken out so fast. The second supply depot will go down here. Now, the Siege Tank gives him a little bit of stability, but this also tells his opponent what exactly he's doing. Yeah. Once you see a Siege Tank right now, you know timing. I need to be careful, because Siege Tanks are actually not good at just going into that late game stage. It basically says, if you are defensive, it basically says, well, I know that gas isn't going into major upgrades, 1-1, maybe stem combat shields, all the works. So you know already that that'll be efficient. So just he's relegated to going some sort of push because of that.
Yeah, and Sheth did a very good job. Oh, MorroW gonna try to see if he can catch the drone before it goes to the third, and a fantastic reaction from MorroW to deny that third. And that is at least 23 seconds that Sheth has to wait longer on his hatchery. Well done there by our Terran player. Sheth also misrallied one of his overlords, but nonetheless, he's got good vision of his opponent taking out that rocks, and Sheth will be able to spot his opponent going for a fast third orbital command. And as a result, MorroW, I mean, he's not afraid to turtle and sit back at the same time. We saw many of his games, even though it's like MorroW could go for the timing, he does have some styles where he just sits back, tries to see if he can deny bases while macroing up a huge Terran force.
And for some reason, I completely blanked on this. He went for the third orbital command center, so I should have known better. This isn't a timing. He's super defending. Normally, when you go just 2 base siege tanks and you don't get your third command center, then yes, it is some sort of timing push, 99% of the time. But I just donked out. And he's trying to get the macro equivalence of the Zerg player by getting this third base up very, very fast.
That was a 7 Zergling shot by the tank. That was fantastic. Wow, so much damage being done by one single tank. And MorroW is covering all of his bases at this point. I mean, Sheth knows exactly what's going up. There should be nothing stopping him, actually, from taking another base. Oh, he is. Never mind. He is taking a 4th base in the mid-left. Purple's kind of hard to see on the mini-map sometimes.
Yeah, man. See, that's what I'm talking about. Purple's the worst color. The worst color for StarCraft 2
especially with Zerg, like the creep's purple too, so you can't tell if it's like units like sitting out there or it's just the creep tumors. But we see that Sheth is spreading creep very nicely. Now, something that's interesting to note is that when you start double Evo Chamber as Zerg, usually is to get slightly ahead of Terran, so that way you always have some kind of defensive measure against Marines, shutting down any kind of timing from them. But MorroW started his pretty early as well, and they're both at this almost exact same time. And that's actually really key for MorroW, just making sure that Sheth can't just do this mass Zergling style that a lot of liquid Zergs have been trying to figure out.
Well, I do want to mention that this is the 2-2 timing that we've seen so many different times. We saw it last week with MorroW against Targa, and I think MorroW was able. Did MorroW win that?
Yes.
Yeah, MorroW won that.
Yeah, he did. I mean, it was a very epic game on Daybreak.
Exactly. That 2-2 timing is such a powerful timing to obviously keep you relevant. It's mainly focusing around the fact that even if you go an upgrade style like the fast Zergling upgrades, which we see right now, you're still going to be just researching 3-3. It's in the works, and it's 2-2 against 2-2. And because I focus on getting the super early third, I will have enough units, so just sheer composition will be better than just mass lings. So that's the theory behind it. I'm really interested to see how Sheth actually defends this, because the position over here at the natural is very exposed to this bottom area. This is actually a positional advantage for MorroW. He just hasn't exploited it just yet. Obviously, he's going to exploit it with the 2-2 timing, but we'll see in a little bit if it's going to be successful.
It's so interesting because Sheth has an incredible amount of Zerglings, but he's been on a low amount of drones relative to how much base saturation he's won. He was just hit over the 60 mark before. He was in the mid-50s. He's got 100 Zerglings and just 4 Roaches, so the 4 Roaches could just be a damage sponge as he tries to see if he can break Terran. He's sending his Banelings in front, but the tanks are in fantastic position for MorroW. No, he's just going to burrow them. Ooh, very clever from Sheth, and he might try to use these Roaches to bait the units out. And Sheth trying to use a lot of maneuvers. We saw last week when he was going up against Pult. Or was it, I think it was the week before that, but Sheth.
Oh, man.
Gets a great Baneling shot. And that's very intimidating for MorroW. He has to be really careful with where he steps.
Oh, yeah, because look at it right now. How many medevacs does he have on the field? 0. These Marines are very, very weak. And actually, that one Baneling hit might have costed MorroW a critical timing, because it gives so much time for Sheth to react to this. Unfortunately, he still doesn't have centrifugal hooks, but he has a lot of production cycles to wait until these medevacs come out, start obviously healing up all these Marines, and then he gets his units into position yet again. Yes, this is about a full round of units that MorroW has, excuse me, Sheth has, over his opponent that he normally isn't used to having.
And with great positioning, I mean, TLO said the other time, is you don't have to fear this time if you can get a great surround. Sheth trying to see if he can gear everything up. His Zerglings are running in to completely surround, or actually completely circumvent the army. I thought he was going to go for a flank. The Infestors catch the Marines in the front, back on creep. And the third is having the bunch of Zerglings there, but great sim save from MorroW to really jumble the Zerglings into it. And Sheth committed a lot of supply into it. MorroW's army is still looking very fearsome. Sheth has his Infestors completely exposed, cannot afford to lose any. But it looks like MorroW's going to ferry some as well into the National. This is absolute madness. So much action going around the map, Andre.
Yeah, Sheth was expecting his opponent to actually go back into the third base, but he didn't do that. That's why he has all these Banelings over here. The Baneling mines were going to be so helpful, but now he needs to crunch on all these units. There's the infested Terrans that get popped. Zerglings are coming from all fronts, but the Marines are already going to town on the natural. You can see Marines over here going to fend off against the Banelings pretty nicely, but still the natural expansion does go down, and MorroW should be able to pick up from here. No. He's not going to just yet.
I mean, he's preoccupied with his reinforcements. MorroW trying to be even hyper-aggressive with his expansions. Expanding to the top center would be an amazing point where you can pitch your tent and really continue to reinforce. MorroW going to push constantly on this natural. This is exactly the area you want to be as a Terran. Really force the engagement to be around where your tanks can be safely snuggled from all areas. And at this point, Sheth, he used up a lot of his Infestor energy to defend. In fact, he doesn't have many Infestors left. He is expanding again towards the bottom half of the map, trying to completely navigate his Zerglings around the army. But again, is he going to go for a counterattack or will he go for a flank?
I think he's going to go for the counterattack, and going to catch a lot of units out of position here. A siege tank and a lot of Marines will get picked up. Great play by MorroW here, and he will save all of them. Very nicely done. I think Sheth is doing the right decision about giving up his natural. That may sound really weird. Andre, you're giving up a base, but no, all of a sudden you're actually preserving... ouch. Oof. But you're preserving so much space. Now you can actually wait until your opponent goes into this big area, because think, you don't have to defend against this tiny little spot.
And the drop in the top main. MorroW trying to be everywhere on the map, but does immediately get cleaned up. A fungal also in the center of the map. Sheth and MorroW engaging on lots of small skirmishes. And yeah, I mean, you can just tell both players are playing an incredible fast rate, detonating mines, dropping, defending against Marine pushes. MorroW queuing up another double drop. Does he know about the bases in the bottom left? He doesn't. But as soon as he goes over there, he doesn't have even time to react. The Marines stimming, trying to run from the tanks, but there are enough tanks to really push back Sheth for now. Sheth waiting for +3/+3. First Broodlord is on the way to join the other two. This is crazy, and you can see MorroW is he's still maxed, and he's still staying strong. His Marines already at 3-3, way before the other Zerglings, and Sheth's gonna try to see if he can dodge the army completely again with his Growth Infestors. Can these tactics from Sheth be the ones he needs, as MorroW has officially established his forward base? This is looking very tough for Sheth to really remove Terran from the top center of the map.
These drops are doing fantastic. Obviously, the fourth base, or the fifth base under attack here, drawing so many Zerglings out, and then the Marines are able to go in on this fourth base and take away all of the drones. So very well played. You can see Sheth is basically on only one mining base. It's really unfortunate. But Sheth again is going to go for a counterattack here. Does he know about this base? Yes, he does. Infested Terran's going to be popped up here. And let's see if these Zerglings... Oh, this is going to be a lot better for him, taking out this 2 siege tanks and the Marines. But now there's the big surge of units going up into the base of Sheth. MorroW is looking at a commanding lead with 177 supply over his opponent with 145.
Yeah, Sheth cut off the reinforcements, and all he has to worry about is the main army, but is he going to be able to even deal with it in the first place? MorroW has Broodlords trying to see if he can get in position, but a lot of tech could be lost here. Can Sheth salvage it in time, or will he even have the ability to defend it? Broodlords are pretty vulnerable without any defensive infestors to keep the Marines back. You can see MorroW trying to rush forward for the Broodlord. Sheth trying to run as fast as he can. Can MorroW eliminate the Broodlord threat? Does pick off one, and for now, just going to keep working on the tech of Sheth, which is extremely valuable. The Hive went down. Sheth's about to lose his Greater Spire and his Bane as 2 invaluable buildings.
Absolutely, he needs his Zerglings all the way over at that top middle position. But here we go, the main engagement. And there's the big fungal growth. Is it going to be enough, though? I'm not sure. The Marines are going to spread up very nicely. The Infestors get targeted down by those remaining siege tanks before they go down, and there's nothing on the ground. Those Zerglings would have been so beneficial in this point, but he's still going to clean it up.
Sheth cleans up the top center, though, which is a really big point, because now MorroW is searching for a new base soon. You can see he's mining out of his second and third bases, and he has a base building in the bottom right.
Yeah.
So MorroW can't necessarily pump out too many units. He still does have some mineral source, but you can see that he too is starting to grasp at straws economically. You can see Sheth rebuilding from scratch, trying to see if he can get a spawning pool. He did finish a layer and an Ultralisk Cavern just in time to salvage some of it. And Sheth actually has a pretty decent economy compared to his opponent as well. Both players are relatively even. Mule's really starting to pump out some of that income for MorroW, but the big story is that Sheth needs gas and MorroW needs minerals.
Yeah, well, here's the big problem with MorroW's style. As we went on in the beginning, he has a style where he has low economy after the 3 base. He just pumps out so many units and then relies on all of his orbital command centers to be self-sufficient. That way he can just get one command center down and boom, 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 boom. He gets all this income all at once, which is great, but if you cannot get that base down, you're in serious trouble. And yes, he's able to kind of diversify a little bit, get an expansion over here in the top middle, get an expansion over here in the bottom. But still, here we go. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Mules get planted, and Infested Terrans are going to go to town on this base. Beautiful play by Sheth. Oh, wow. And this is going to take away the income of MorroW quite substantially. Look at the supplies. All of a sudden, Frodan, they've shifted quite dramatically.
Sheth is pumping out an incredible amount of Zerglings, and a few Ultralisks are also out into the field. Again, that very snap decision call to make an Ultralisk Cavern. Sheth keeping aware of what he needs. Now, the big thing is that Sheth doesn't have that many Infestors to lock it, so these Ghosts could do a huge amount of play if MorroW starts targeting down things. Now, he sees no Infestors and immediately backs away.
He's like, oh crap, I need to back out. There's no way he can actually defend that. So, very intelligent, but little does he know he has no chitinous plating, or chitinous, chitinous plating. Thank you. But here's a squadron on the bottom left-hand side. Going to take out this base very nicely. Yeah. And probably is looking to take out the other one as well. Zerglings and Ultras will try to get down there, but I think that's probably a fruitless effort. You should probably go for this, or look, or no, the Planetary Fortress in the top middle to kind of even up the amount of income. Yes, thank you.
I mean, MorroW has 1.5 bases mined. Not even that planetary in the bottom right can really consider to be mined. Just a couple of mules in there. And for now, you see that MorroW really wants to take out this base. If he shuts down this base, Sheth is now reduced to 1 mining base that's almost scrapped out. And you can see really forcing his way in here. Sheth really reacting strong, sending all of his Ultras and Zerglings to catch the flank. But if MorroW just simply drops on the low ground, then all of a sudden Sheth loses a huge amount of his income. And that's exactly what MorroW is doing. You can see that he's ferrying his units across the cliff, and Sheth is really trying to find it.
Where are those Corruptors? There they are. And they're going to pick off these dropships. That's a pretty huge pickoff, I think. No, they only pick off one. The other one has all the units in them. Okay, well, I was going to give it back to him.
Yeah, I mean, MorroW's just at least trying to see if he can take out some units, but he also gets a good read on his opponent's army, and he sees almost everything. MorroW's army does have a huge influx of Marauders. You can see him switching over to it, especially to deal with the Ultralists. A couple of Broodlords also get sprinkled into Sheth's army. You can see really diversifying his army, not necessarily leaning towards one, and that's going to make it tough for MorroW to deal with all kinds of attacks from Zerg, especially if they ever full out directly engage.
Still, I do think that MorroW has the better quality maxed army at this point, just because there's not a lot of infestors in here, so there's going to be cutting all day long. Even the infestors are here. There are ghosts out in the field that could two-shot them with the snipes, or they could potentially, of course, EMP them. So I think there's a lot of options for MorroW over Sheth. Sheth is kind of relegated to this defensive position, and then he has one blow, one attack, and that's it. I don't know. It's a tough position. It's hard to call.
It's tough for both. You lose your army once, that could be the game, and both players are aware of it. A couple of things is that Sheth also has a few Overseers to really make sure to shut down any possibilities for Cloak. A fungal on the Medevac. Sheth trying to see if he can gain ground. Whoa, these Vikings could be really clutch. If MorroW can snipe them, then all of a sudden the ghosts become empowered. You can EMP the infestors, and all of a sudden the game dynamic changes.
So this is tough. I know where Sheth is trying to go with this. He's actually just looking to get his hive, get all of the production structures up as fast as possible. Try to limit his opponent as much as possible. I like these infested Terrans, but it looks like, is this... Oh, he got building armor and +1. He got high sec auto tracking as well. Oh my god, I am so happy right now. MorroW's going to win now. I mean,
because he got the Green Torp upgrades?
That is 100% correct right now. He got the Grey Torp upgrades. He will win this game.
And he got sensor towers. Everything that makes Andre really happy. You can see MorroW now has nuclear missiles in his arsenal, sending one ghost to the bottom left. This is patent late game TVZ from MorroW, and Sheth is not going to be aware of it. Now, this is really important because Sheth, if he can get this third base up, would be on 6 gases, which is vital to his remax after this. You can see, again, Sheth really needs it. The first nuke's on the way. Does Sheth even know about it?
There it is. He sees it all.
Oh, he's good.
And he gets out in time. Very well done. And look at that. Only one spine crawler goes out from that. I'm going to go back to mine as nobody wants an epileptic seizure. But the ghost will be cleaned up. But this is turning out to be just straight up epic, man. I mean,
this is well, now MorroW's compiled enough resources that if he ever trades, he can remake some of his units. And the big thing is now MorroW is
oh, he doesn't want to engage here. Centrifugal hooks isn't upgraded, and here we go. We're gonna have it. Banelings are gonna explode on the siege tanks. Not the particular best way, but he is able to barrel through quite a bit of units. Oh my god, Sheth somehow comes out on top of that.
The big difference maker, though, is that MorroW does have a huge bank to fall back on, while Sheth does not. Sheth is remaking some of his Ultras and Infestors. But Infestors are so valuable. The MorroW's Marauders cleaned up extremely quickly, and MorroW defended his bottom right base that Sheth does know about. And, of course, this base is also under heavy siege. MorroW with another drop being everywhere on the map at once. MorroW doing fantastic. Sheth's trying to go every which way direction. Zerglings are also misrallied. No, he needs those Zerglings as part of his army. Sheth can't really afford to commit all these units there to the army, and MorroW happily accepts the sacrifice. And MorroW's now going to pick up. He's trying to see if he can also just ferry his units, kill off everything. But Sheth is now mined out at this base, trying to see if he can get any source of income. He's now re-expanding to his natural. 33 minutes in the game and reclaiming your natural for resources.
It's pretty standard, man.
This is absolutely an absurd game. We see the Corvid reactor, which means the inevitable switch over to some air units from MorroW. This is crazy. You can see MorroW trying to also incorporate some Banshees into his army to see if he can deal with some of the ground units of Sheth.
Yeah, because think right now, if MorroW takes air control, obviously the Infestor is going to be significantly weakened. The main reason for that is because you want to have the fungal growth and put up Infested Terrans to deal with Banshees over, let's say, Marines and Marauders, right? So that's the natural thing to do. Although you need a lot of time, you need to actually do that before any engagements happen. But what MorroW is looking to do is say, okay, well, I'm going to base myself around when your Infestors have energy and when they don't. I'm going to only attack when they don't, and I'm going to defend when they do, and just try to prod you as much as possible.
Oh, Sheth is gearing up in the top center of the map. MorroW knows everything with his sensor tower, and Sheth's going to try to see if he can charge half the army before MorroW's going to be able to get in position. You can see that a lot of his stim bio is not engaging. MorroW trying to split to avoid the fungals. He has his ghost sniping the Infestors, really limiting the option of Sheth, and all of a sudden Sheth is the one forced back, seeing what is a Banshee doing inside of your mix. A scan, trying to see if he can identify where the Infestors are. Great snipes from MorroW, and all of a sudden Sheth's army is unable to answer to this one Banshee. Although the Infested Terrans, they were placed just in time, able to snipe it as well. MorroW still maxed a massive stim, trying to see if he can chase down the Ultra. Sheth does not have creep extended that far out. Another scan. MorroW is sensing death, and if he can take out these Ultras, that'll be it. But Sheth is waiting for more Infestors to come out, and when they do, he's able to answer defensively. MorroW backs off. But wow, what an engagement. In the end, MorroW comes out way far ahead, especially because he has 3 bases already settled up, as Sheth is trying to see if he can run by with some of his Zerglings, but he's not going to do much against the Planetary.
Absolutely amazing multitasking for both these players. Bottom left-hand position gets taken out as well. In the meantime, Infested Terrans are going to get cleaned up. Infest top middle. Zerglings are going to go over to the mid-right, but Planetary Fortress is already there, so that's going to help out so much. He immediately just surrounds it. No way, Jose. You need to morph those into Banelings if you want to, but look at that money right now. Not looking good for Sheth. Unfortunate.
Sheth, the biggest problem is that he can't get a steady source of income. His natural is pretty much mined out. He has a few drones, but everything's relegated to this base in the 7 o'clock position. If Sheth can hold on to it, then he has some hope. You can see him trying to make some Banelings in the bottom right. Maybe go for a huge Desperation Baneling attack on the worker mineral line, but at this point, MorroW might even be comfortable giving up some of his SCVs for more army supply. You can see he hasn't really been making SCVs whatsoever. Now he's transitioned to more army. 3 Ravens are coming out at a time, and this is slowly becoming MorroW's game to lose. You can see his half of the map is very densely populated compared to the sparse amounts of Zerg spotted around the map. The Zerg and the Banes are going to the right side of the map.
Oh.
But there's not really much there for Sheth to kill.
I know, and these Zerglings won't be too effective against this Planetary Fortress because he has the +2 building armor.
Zergling's not really been able to chew through the armor. Has 5 armor, that's ridiculous. Now Zergs know what it feels like with the chitinous plating. As Terran has the additional 2 armor.
I didn't even have to worry. I didn't even have to worry. I knew that Planetary Fortress was going to be up.
Because of that +2.
5 armor, man. 3 damage. Could you even imagine? 3 damage. If those Zerglings had no upgrades on them, they would do no damage. Well, probably like 1 every other hit, but still, you know what I'm saying, Frodan?
Yeah, it's tough for Sheth to really break any expansions without the assistance of Broodlords, but the big thing is that MorroW has been keeping such a strong macro in his game. You can see that eventually, even if Broodlords come out, he has Ravens, and if you can get the Seeker missiles really in position, Broodlords will be very vulnerable as well. MorroW defending his expansions, sensing that Sheth is running dry, getting desperate with a lot of Zergling run-bys, because before, just a couple minutes ago, Sheth was so gung-ho about engaging directly, and now he's trying to avoid conflict. MorroW must know the end is near for Sheth, at least if he can shut down these bases.
You can see the gas allocation right now. It is going to Infestors currently, so he has Infestors and Ultras. But that doesn't even matter. The Ravens are so powerful at this endgame stage. You know, just with the power of even auto turrets. Auto turrets are really, really underrated, and especially with that +2 building armor.
And the high-sec auto tracking.
And the high-sec auto tracking. My God, it increases their range so much. It's crazy. Oh man, I don't know how MorroW can lose without those two. With those 2 upgrades, excuse me.
Well, MorroW, he can also win by just keep denying expansion. He scans, sees no defenses for this expansion again. Sheth is also worrying about these units that are in the middle. MorroW dropping a point defense, trying to draw attention away from the army that's cleaning up everything in the bottom left. MorroW playing Terran late game to perfection. Look at this phenomenal distraction, bait and switch, taking out this hatchery, another lost source of income if he can snipe it, which it looks like he will. Sheth bringing his army, but is not going to be in time. And
That's
Sheth.
so unfortunate because, you know, I know for certain that Sheth would have fended that off if he had 2 more armor on those hatcheries. But as it is right now, another round of Marines are going into this mid-left-hand side base. They're going to get cleaned up finally, but the fact of the matter is MorroW has been able to have a lot of the initiative in this game. He has basically all control where his opponent's army is. That's so important when you're playing any matchup. Doesn't matter what it is, because when you do that, you basically say, the only amount of units I can lose is my army. You can lose your army and your base. That's a really tough thing. So, like, to be efficient, you need to make sure you shut everything down. Obviously, in a map like Tal'Darim or Altar, you don't get that opportunity most of the time.
Seeker missile and durable materials in production, and that will just empower the Raven even further. You can see that MorroW non-stop aggression, just queuing up another drop to see if he can draw the attention away. And MorroW's been, one thing that MorroW's been doing fantastic, which is obviously easier said than done with planetaries, is to defend his expansions a lot more. Sheth, his income tells a huge story. He has 17 more workers, but his income is extremely low, especially with the power of Neil's MorroW, more than content with keeping his worker count low. And at this point, what can really Zerg do other than try to expand? MorroW's being everywhere, shutting down any kind of ability to harvest resources, while MorroW's playing fantastic defense and ensuring his lead.
You want to know what he can do? I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you what Sheth can do right now.
Okay.
See all these buildings in this top left-hand corner? Remake them on the bottom left. Sounds crazy, right, Frodan? But the big problem is he has so much space to defend. And the reason why he has to defend this top left-hand position is because of these structures. That's it. If he remakes them, all of a sudden, all that position that he has to defend shrinks in half. So he's in a really good position, and he can defend all against these drops effectively. That's what he should do, although I haven't seen any Zerg actually do that ever. Just go for, like, okay, take my base, no problem. I'll relocate everything. That's actually what he should do, though, because he doesn't actually need the hive. He can just go with these production structures and make sure he doesn't lose them.
Especially because upgrades are pretty much cleaned across the board. Sheth has almost everything short of Narrow Parasite for his army. And you can see that he's trying to see if he can engage on the army. MorroW trying to stim, get his tanks in position. The nuke trying to see if he can displace the units. A fungal, a huge one, but the Seeker missiles are on track. And you can see the Ultras are trying to get out of the way, but a huge explosion and a lot of Corruptors drop. And you can see that MorroW really wanted those infestors. If he can lock to the Ultras, perhaps he can splash damage. MorroW cleans up another base in the top left during this entire engagement. And Sheth trying to see if he can corner it, but just sending everything at once. If Fungal does land the rest of the units, this should give MorroW some room in the bottom half to try to see if he can snipe these bases once again. And Sheth, wow, what a great engagement from MorroW. As Sheth does clean up the rest of this army. Sheth also playing fantastic as well, reading the situation and make sure not to overcommit. If he loses those infestors, that's it. But with full energy infestors, anything can happen.
Oh my gosh. And don't forget those infestors. Oh, they don't have Neural Parasite. Think if they had Neural Parasite, all it takes is just like 2 Neural Parasites and 100 Seeker Missile all of your Ravens. Oh my God.
How dope would that be if you Neural Parasite the Ravens?
Dude, that would be so sick,
and then all of them, and you just 100 Seeker all the Marines. How dope would that be? But look at this great play from Sheth as well, catching the drop. MorroW losing 20 supply just like that. MorroW also, the big thing is that MorroW knows where the Zerg army is, and he would prefer to see if he can pick off those important structures from Terran. You can see that MorroW's immediately targeting now with Banshees, a late game Banshee tech switch, trying to see if he can pick off not only just the hatches but the queens as well. Infestation Pit, the target of MorroW's next attack.
Yeah, I think the Banshee switch right here is kind of lost its timing. Normally you do that when you're on really low economy and you're at the mid-game stage when you don't have the accessibility of those Corruptors. So it's unfortunate, but you know, those Banshees, I guess, need to do something. Right?
I don't mind them at the same time, though, because...
Remake.
Because, yeah, I mean, Sheth has to remake these buildings, but I think because this is just another thing to irk Sheth to see if he can get a reaction to see if his army gets out of position. Ultimately, MorroW wants a direct conflict because he feels that he's stronger. But the Ravens are not being paid attention to, but he's going to drop Seeker missiles anyways. He's going to target some of the infestors, and the infestors are very weak. A lot of them are going to drop, but the Fungal's trying to see if he can work. It's a battle against time. No! More Seeker missiles take out a huge amount of infestors. Sheth does clean up a huge amount of Ravens. That was easily thousands
Oh my
of
god,
gas.
Ghosts! Oh my god, Ghosts!
The Ghosts need to get snipes onto it. Sheth. Ooh. Oh no, MorroW is trying to see if he can scan, pick it off. If he can pick off these infestors, that'll be key plays.
Oh my god, Fungal. One Fungal can end that.
Oh no. Sheth loses more infestors. He's now down to just 4. He had over 12 at one point.
And look at this. Why is he going to the top left-hand corner? There's nothing of value to defend. A nuke will land in the mid-left, but still, that does nothing. He's going to defend his hive over here, but really, that draws all of his units out of position for these Marines and Marauders to kill the important part of his play. That is the economy, of course. And down goes both of these expansions. Sheth is unfortunately going to lose, it looks like, this game. Of course, we knew that before because the +2 building armor and the high sec auto tracking.
Man, what if Sheth somehow turns this game around? Then all of a sudden he looks silly. But we do see that Sheth is certainly running out options here. MorroW, a lot of his bio is expendable at this point. Just because it frees up more room for things like his Raven count to start restocking. Now, there's not to discount that Sheth cleaned up the Ravens, which is a huge thing, but the Ravens got their job done anyways. Kill off the infestors. Look at that. MorroW also using his Banshee to pick off more infestors. Every single infestor that drops at this point is just another additional piece of ammo for MorroW to just nail into the army of Sheth. You can see that MorroW is actually starting to get mined out as well. He doesn't have that many bases mining. He doesn't have an incredible amount of SCVs either. Sheth also is running pretty dry. You can see he has almost no bases other than this one that he's long distance mining. The Marines trying to see if they can get any more additional damage, and that's been so great. GG! MorroW takes game number 1 on Tal'Darim Altar in an epic 49.5-minute game. MorroW showing late game TVZ is actually not that bad for Terran if you can do drops all over the place, get all your upgrades, position, expand, deny.
You hit it the second time around. Get all your upgrades, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you win games. No troll. Dude, that +2 building armor.
Did he get the Caduceus reactor? That's what I'm wondering. That's
unfortunate. But, you know,
wow.
That game was absolutely fantastic. I would love to go back into that, but I really have to say, I mean, that's one thing. If you learn anything from that game, okay, as Zerg, on a big map, don't be afraid to give up your main base, okay? Once you get into that hive tech, yeah, remake your hive. It does cost a lot of money, but remake your hive, and that way you can actually defend all of your economy and attack, because you can't be on 3 places at once on a big map like that. Normally, Zerg is only allocated to 2 places, and when you're defending half the map, well, those are your 2 places. And what I mean is, like, look at the map like a quadrant. I'm sorry. That was kind of confusing.
It's totally cool. It's like
I'm thinking
calculus,
of
where it's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Exactly. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? But, so you can defend 2 of those quadrants, but that's it. Or at least you can have your units on 2 of those quadrants. Don't expect to have it on 3 of those quadrants unless you have a really huge advantage. So knowing that, give up your main, go to the bottom left, and then redirect all your aim on the bottom right, and then you can actually play out the game.
I have so much to say about that game as well, but let's look at a huge moment. These infestors mean everything, and Sheth knows if he kills these Ravens, he has a huge timing, but the big thing was MorroW was able to really clean up these infestors. The infestors still walking under. If Sheth was able to fungal and keep his infestors at bay, but killing off those 5, 6 infestors was huge, and the follow-up snipes, fantastic play and control from MorroW, and great reaction, and in the end, Sheth just fell a little bit short. It was still, anything could happen, and you're right. What if he had all those neuroparasites?
I know, man.
Pimp his play of 2012.
Seriously, that'd be sick. Fungal.
By far.
Fungal, take 2 Ravens.
That would have been.
Kill everything,
that would have been, Greetorp?
What?
That would have been nasty.
That would have been a whole nother level.
That would have been nasty. Guys, that game was brought to you by Kingston HyperX, the company that's bringing to you the company that brings us SSD and memories and bring you the SSD for this winner of the Sunday Showdown between 91 and Genius. We talked a lot, but let's go to a break so we can gather our thoughts and come back for game number 2 between Sheth and MorroW here at Division 5 of Week 7.